it's Carly and I'm back again with another edition of What I Found at Fanboys. Before we take a look at what I found at Fanboys this week, I would like to remind you all to join us this Saturday, February 26th at our location on Camp Bowie Boulevard, where we will be welcoming Marvel and DC artist SAM De La Rosa. Sam has drawn characters such as Spider-Man, Venom, Carnage, the Predator, and the Green Lantern, and will be signing autographs and meeting and greeting fans from noon until 6. So gather up your sketch covers, bring your covers that Sam has drawn, and come on down to our store on Camp Bowie Boulevard from noon to 6 to meet the man himself, Texas native Sam De La Rosa. We will also be having a pop swap and Hot Wheels drag race that day, so it's a day that you don't want to miss. And make sure that you are following us on Instagram, Twitter, and here on YouTube to get all the news you need to know about what's going on at Fanboys Marketplace. A reminder, we have locations on Camp Bowie Boulevard in Fort Worth, in Denton, Texas, at the Golden Triangle Mall, and we are opening a new location in Hurst, Texas, which will be happening in March. We have a huge event planned for that day. Please stay tuned to all of our social media to know everything that's happening as it happens. And with that, we are ready to take a look at what I found at Fanboys this week. So this is a really exciting haul for me this week because it is not only one of my favorite franchises originally, but also pretty timely because they just had a great big reboot. So today we're going to be taking a look at my 2000 N2 Toys Matrix figures. I was able to pick up 3 of 4 figures in the second wave. We got the Sentinel here, the Mr. Anderson, which I'm really excited to open, and the Trinity Classic Pose. So let's talk a little bit about the toy company N2. It was started by a guy named Ron Hayes who worked at Kenner Hasbro for years and got sick of sort of the corporate grind and wanted to do his own thing. And because of his years of experience and talent, he was able to launch this company in 1999 and get some pretty incredible licenses. So he was able to get the Tick, She, the Matrix, and was in the works on getting The Fifth Element and Mad Max when, unfortunately, in 2002, the company went defunct. But we were able to get some really cool figures. There were 3 waves planned of the Matrix series. We only got the first 2, but the reboot that McFarlane Toys did later on really sort of echoes this original line. While these aren't articulate figures, they are really iconic moments, and I'm really excited to have them, particularly the Mr. Anderson. If you are interested in these figures at all, they are pretty readily available on eBay, but as you can see, they're not always kept in the greatest of condition in the package, so I highly recommend trying to find them in person at a place like Fanboys, simply because you can look at the figure. I decided that I wanted to get these because I wanted to open them, but if you're buying in the box, the smoke damage and just sort of years of grime on this package make it really kind of yucky. It's sort of like crispy and peeling off. And if you're an in package or MOC collector, that's mint on card for those of you who don't know, this would definitely not work for your collection. But for me, someone who wants to open figures, I'm really excited to have them. So we're going to take a really close look at these and talk a little bit about what the difference is between these figures and the figures that we've seen more recently. So the first thing you'll notice is that in the case of this particular action figure, the nicotine damage sort of got through, which is why it's really nice to be able to see the figure in person. This is actually still sticky, so it will wipe right off. I'll be able to clean this up pretty easily. The figure itself looks pretty good. What's super interesting about these is that they are sort of articulate. So they each have 5 points of articulation, which are the head, each of the shoulders, that's 3, and each of the hips. But none in the feet, none in the knees. This is basically the pose. So the articulation that you're getting in the action figure is really just to stand it up in front of this really awesome stand, which I will probably be using for a lot of things besides these figures because they're super dope. But that is a really unique sort of accessory that you don't see a lot. Marvel Select will do sort of partial diorama pieces like this or background pieces like this, but it's not something that you get very often these days anymore with your action figures. Typically it'll just be a printed piece of cardboard with an image from whatever the series or character is that you're looking at. So having this is really, really cool. The package itself had a cool sticker on it right here that says Mr. Anderson in this sort of awesome computer type. Each of the figures has that. I wish that it was on the stand here, but overall, the face of the Mr. Anderson is really like what you're going for with these, and this figure looks really dope. That's one of the most iconic scenes, so this is the one I'm most excited to have. We'll get him really cleaned up, and we'll post some pictures on the Instagram to show you how he turned out. This one should be pretty easy to clean. I'm not too worried about any damage that was done. So we'll take a look at Trinity next. So this is a really interesting figure because the material that she is made out of is actually going a little bit sticky. This is a really interesting sort of lesson in what it takes to create your own toy brand. The amount of work that goes into sourcing the materials needed to make action figures. I've had friends in the past who've tried to start their own lines or thought that they would 3D print their own lines, but really the mass production of action figures is a tremendous endeavor. And even someone like Ron Hayes, who was incredibly experienced in it, was only able to make it work for a few years. It's so pricey. You need to have so much money going into it. And for the product to end up being exactly right, you really need to be able to like have that money invested. And so what happened with this Trinity is she's actually really beautiful. The paintwork is really beautiful, but this material has gone soft and sticky over the years in the packaging. So it also needs a pretty good cleanup. But on this particular stand, it came with a little peg that you would put in here so that you can actually mount her in the air, which is really cool. And I'm really excited about the way that this will look too. Again, this is another toy that I'm gonna have to clean up. But the great thing about it is that because I saw it in person, I was able to see what would go into cleaning them up. I was able to make that decision, and the price on these was really phenomenal. That's another great thing about shopping in person, is that if you can see what is going on with the figure, you can determine if the price is right. Each of these I got for about $18 to $20. So I felt like it was a really great value, especially since they were in the original packaging, just because that means that they hadn't been played with. They didn't have any, you know, time to be damaged any further than just a little bit of dirt that could be wiped off. So I was really, really excited to find these this way. Finally, we'll look at the Sentinel. And the Sentinel did not come with a background, but is by far and away the coolest of all three of these figures. The other figure in this series was Tank. I did not find him, but it's one that I can look for. Quite frankly, these three figures are the ones I would want the most. Maybe a Morpheus, but he was in the third wave, so he might not have been released. I might have to find something newer for that. But this is really satisfying. While it didn't come with a diorama piece, it looks really good, and you should be able to pretty easily find a clear plastic stand to put him on that will make it display really, really nicely. And this one actually is not, you know, there's no dirt or stickiness to it at all. It's really, really nice looking, and it's ready to be displayed. So those are the action figures that I was able to find this week. Now this Matrix series is sort of getting a reboot with existing toy companies like McFarlane, and they're highly articulated. The artwork is a little bit better. They're made out of stronger, longer lasting materials. So we're seeing not only a reboot of the series, but also a reboot of the action figures. So having things like this available to you at places that are reselling of action figures is really great, because then you can consolidate your collections and sort of make the legacy from start to finish. I think that these are great additions to any Matrix fans collection, and the great news about it is that they're pretty easy to find, but I would definitely caution you against buying online unless you're getting really clear pictures of the packaging, because another thing that sort of we've seen here is that N2, while the packaging had really cool graphics on it and looked really neat it really wasn't able to stand the test of time of protecting the product. Now, it seems like the environment that these toys were kept in was probably a partial issue, but since all of them were a little bit sticky or a little bit dry other than the Sentinel, it kind of indicates that the packaging on these wasn't stable, and you might find that with any that you order. So the level of damage would be something that you'd really want to take a good look at if you're buying online. If not, I would definitely check in convention settings or at places like Fanboys where you can get your hands on the product and check it out first. But overall, even though there's a little bit of work I need to put into these to make them perfect, a very little bit, I am so stoked to have them. I couldn't be happier with the way they look, and I'm excited to display them on my shelf. So that is what I was able to find this week at Fanboys Marketplace. I thank you guys so much for watching these videos. Please let me know what you're looking for today and what you would like to see me do videos on at the store in the future. We look forward to seeing you at our upcoming event and our events in the future, and I will be back on Friday with another one. Thanks so much for watching. Bye!